Artistry has always been a part of human nature dating back thousands of years to the very first early Homo sapiens created paintings in caves all those thousands of years ago. Going forward from a distinct point in time has developed the means of generating artistic creations through newly created techniques to such peculiar and fascinating limits from different civilizations throughout humanity's recorded history of 5,000 years, even much further. However, it is without hesitation that the most significant tools and techniques in illustrating newer and broader forms of art dates back to the era of ancient Rome. Due to its newly infrastructure of society of their time, allowing them to sense a newfound peace unseen in this ancient time. That said, the presentation I will be conducting will uncover the many advancements of artistic innovation that had been created in the era of the Romans' height of society, as well as see the legacy they brought to the historical artwork of humanity through the era of early European creations. To kick off the presentation, I'll be introducing the MVP, also known as the Republican priest, dating back to the Roman era. The art piece of a Republican priest displays a variety of details regarding visual perception on the naked eye. The material which it had been displayed on gives the artwork color values of lightish gray, while some may even argue white. The piece displays magnificent proportions of asymmetrical distinction from cheekbone to cheekbone, with disregard to the missing portions of the lower half, while also displaying superb visuals and symmetrical value from top to bottom. That said, the piece creates a distinct elaboration on the surface texture of the piece, giving a smooth emphasis while also allowing the facial features of the Republican priest to be distinctively detailed using variations of lines consisting of diagonal horizontals, with a vertical display a positive value of wrinkles, fats, excess skin, etc., and a negative space consisting of the Republican priest's hood, cheeks, chin, etc. The artwork displayed key elaborations on what a three-dimensional portion strives to be. Regarding how it was made in 50 to 30 BCE, the piece itself was rectified from a large proportion of marble using variations of mallets and chisels to carve out the base of the artwork while also instituting small key details such as the rather small hood on the posterior of the priest's head. The unknown sculptor had used the tools of the Riffler to showcase mundane features around the priest's face, from the wrinkles to the excess folds on the facial expression, simply adding variations of facial features unneeded in most creations in the era. After carvings reached its completion around the piece, conductions of broadsword using vague portions of clothes were used to eliminate any excess portions of marble seen around the art piece, completing the complete art piece of the Republican priest. The art piece itself is representative of a significant illustrative stage of innovation in the Roman era known as Verism. Verism itself was created by the Roman people in 30 BCE. The technique of artistry known as Verism is the imploration of unneeded facial features and details in portraits, carvings to give the piece a more general feeling of unique realism of their era. To better exemplify the satisfaction and virtue of experiencing life with its many dangers, as well as to break the chain in how most creations throughout the Roman era depict figures with rather youthful characteristics, such as smooth skin, short hair, downright young faces. Usage of verism is particularly aimed towards higher-ups and those with high standings in the Roman Empire, as stated by the Online Museum's illustration of the beauty of the old age and visual history, describing the artistic style of verism. In their words, old age and wrinkles became exemplary and even aesthetic, while the source also illustrated the reasoning behind it with descriptions of its reasoning behind its creation. Verism symbolized experience and knowledge about everything, and that is what the issues of sculptures, the subjects themselves, enjoy to convey. Characteristics of verism are rather simple, while also being significantly complicated, with most common characteristics being that of wrinkles, folds in skin, large and small noses, tired eyes, bald heads, eye bags, additions of fat and facial expressions, simply adding features of aging onto portraits to attain a broader feeling of human life. Moving on to artwork 1, portrait of a Roman general dating back to 7550 BCE, currently located in Museo Nazionale Romano, Rome, era Roman Empire, size 6.5 feet. This piece showcase illustrates the color value of gray from top to bottom due to the element it has used for its creation, which had been a variation of a large marble slab, albeit separate marble slab to the superior portion of the statue not belonging to the original body. The piece of the Roman general is asymmetrical in appearance, with the feet of the statue being somewhat displaced due to its stance. The statue itself can also be considered symmetrical, slight proportion also due to its stance as well as its disproportion of the head. That being said, the piece has many carvings of horizontal and vertical lines to showcase rather youthful distinction of the Roman general due to the showcase of the muscular persona, while also much intensity focusing on the many folds of the cloth with the same color value as the Roman's body. Due to the techniques in its creation, the piece's surface texture is rather smooth in appearance on the marble surface. The facial distinction, on the other hand, is another story on itself due to its facial distinction being rather aged, as seen from the lines on the face, representative of the wrinkles, but also noticing the receding hairline as well as the eye bags of the face, while also showcasing wrinkles and portions of fats around the mouth of the general as a sign of aging, as well as stretch marks around the general's neck. The characteristics just stated, the usage of variations of verism adapted 30 years after its representation in a Republican priest described in the NVP. Stages of innovation regarding verism artwork 1 30 years after the Republican priest. As stated moments earlier, variations of verism have been implemented in the creation of portrait of Roman general with some additions in its advancement in Roman culture. First and foremost, as previously stated, the facial structure of the general is relatively designed to showcase aging from his wrinkles, fats to his balding forehead as well as its stretch marks on the neck. However, while artworks of verism statistically only showcase the superior portion of the human body, albeit the head, the portrait of the Roman general showcases the full human body, the superior and inferior differences of aging, as the upper portions of the body showcase clear usage of verism with characteristics illustrating an aging general to elaborate upon individuals' experiences of life. However, the lower portion of the general's body illustrates physical representations of youthfulness and the general's appearance. A study by Cambridge University Press illustrates reasoning behind this due to the Roman Empire society at the time beliefs into military officials as though they may be approaching a more aged time of their lives. The power and strength of their youth will remain as to why verism had been used, as Chapman describes as variation of verism as dry realism. A realism, in their words, which shows the person portrayed as he really is without idealizing tendencies with wrinkles and warts and other physical defects, and also, what is more important, with an expression not of a philosopher or poet or visionary, but of what might be called the man of affairs, as the article further elaborates reasoning behind its implementation in military representations, when describing it similar to why artwork 1 had been a clear representation of verism. Moving on to artwork 2, portrait of Augustus as Imperator by unknown artist, 20 BCE, currently located in Museo Vaticano, Rome, era late Roman Empire, material marble. The creation of the portrait of Augustus Imperator had been a collaboration from a variety of many unknown artists in celebration of Augustus' standing in society, as the artwork itself, similar to that of the MVP artwork, is displayed upon a marble foundation, giving a color value of lightish gray with some variations in white. The piece showcase can be considered as asymmetrical in appearance, where the marble surface to the top of the Augustus scalp while also being semi-symmetrical from shoulder to shoulder. Only area to consider is the figure of Augustus pointing out towards the sky, creating imbalance. That being said, there is a much emphasis on around the center of Augustus' armor, as well as a much lower inferior section from the childlike angel to the cloth around his midsection, as the armor is a mix of two-dimensional and three-dimensional designs around space, with three-dimensional figurines giving off feelings of omnipotent energy, with the understanding that the wearer is someone of divine importance, as the armor itself also gives off a sort of positive space and negative space energy. While the positive space is that of the angelic figurines, while the negative space appears to be that of armor's mundane and empty space. The cloth itself, detailed with a much vertical carving, going through the sheets as well as the horizontal symbolize many folds. Physical representation of Augustus' face is rather mundane, so there are no clear signs of common distinct features. A basic verism as showcased in the VP Republican priest. However, it is clear adaptation of artwork warrants characteristics of switching off a variety of individuals to exemplify how an individual is perceived using characteristics of verism used in artwork one. Simply put, a new stage of innovation. Artists were representing individuals as being used in artwork two, the role-playing carvings. Describing the artwork of role-playing creations with use of verism. While the Republican priest had illustrated measures of verism due to the key features around the figure's face, artwork one adaptation of invasion of artwork illustrates key features of verism, showcasing wrinkles and aging features of Roman general upon a youthful individual's body, simply combining two key individuals and illustrating a combination to what is believed to be a Roman era citizens and believed in what their generals were. Artwork 2 is a build-off as well as adaptation technique in its creation as well as artwork 1. While verism techniques of illustrating realism upon Augustus' face are non-existent, the armor showcases a collaboration of many gods that have been worshipped through the era. In most simpler times, the role of classic youthful details are switched throughout the illustration of Augustus, showcasing a more youthful face with smooth cheekbones, and younger features showcasing a young male barely taking a stance against life, while the inferior half illustrates Augustus' role as a man of militaristic action and elaboration of divine ascendance, as showcased with a childlike Cupid at his feet, as well as divine armor depicting the Pokylitos, an individual who had goals of reaching perfection, similar to that of Augustus' goals of raising Rome as a means of golden age. A study by Paul Williams Archive illustrates the Romans' obsession with representation of the gods to each of their artworks, as most were either lightly or heavily depicted divine illustration of many different gods, as the article hints heavily that is due to most Roman cultures piggybacking off of older culture. As they state, the religious practices, deities, and myths were adopted by the Romans from the different areas of empire that occupied, giving reason behind Augustus' heavily depicted divine appearance. And the piece that being said, artwork 2 was a representation of Rome and its later had been passed. Verism for the part in artistic advancements, he had carried its many characteristics along the way. Wrapping up artwork 2, it's time to move on to the final representation of art illustrated earlier on. Artwork 3, wooden portal at the Stave Church, 11th century earlier on. The artwork represented here is displayed thousands of years after Republican priest portrait of Rome general, as well as portrait of Augustus as emperor. Notably, variations of verism was a role-playing with the difficulties of assertion. Undoubtedly, its influence is there thousands of years after its creation, though faint. To begin with, the piece represented here is that of a wooden portal located in Norway. The artwork due to the grayish painting. The wooden material illustrates a color value of gray with an asymmetrical appearance from the left portion to the right portion, also giving off a symmetrical appearance from top of the structure to the bottom of the structure. The piece appears to be three-dimensional texture with the many fruits coming out of the building structure with some two-dimensional characteristics such as the design of the wooden door itself, also giving much emphasis on the designation of the roots as it conveys to Norse mythology as the tree of life, symbolically giving a reason to why it is the entrance of the Christian church. In fact, journal by Miss Ellie dubbed Yggdrasil Viking Tree of Life, the most complicated Viking symbol, illustrates how powerful the symbolism of the door roots really were. The symbolism, interconnectedness, symbol of wisdom, symbol of suffering, as well as symbolism of eternity, illustrating how early artworks of Europe were based around the symbolic portions of the afterlife. As one line states, in the middle of the cosmos stood the great tree of life. Yggdrasil becomes a complicated Viking symbol with many layers of meaning. Due to the lack of individualistic designs, there's a very harsh designation of using verism in this artwork. However, the implementation of more representation of verism had been used all the same. The many years later, a book labeled Paganism illustrates just how similar Roman and Viking hierarchy really was. That's why the artwork 3 is rather similar in connection to the branches of arts, as they use religion of divine gods in order to spread a more symbolic message towards the viewers, similar to that of the Romans back in the day. The illustrations showcased throughout the duration of the presentation the early years of the Roman Empire to the later years of the beginning of Europe generally dictates how early innovations of creating artworks as well as showcasing them can travel through the centuries. From the beginning of Verism to the early stages of religious art, it's all connected.